South Africa from the 1950s to 90s was home to a national government that segregated society on the basis of race. At first glance, this policy would have little to do with aviation, but when taking a second and more thorough glance helps explain the reason for this unusual route network, flown by the flag carrier of South Africa, South African Airways. Forced to adapt to restrictions, South African Airways made a series of outsized changes for a single carrier, including the building of a new airport and the commissioning of a new aircraft type. So buckle up as we explore the fascinating history of South African Airways apartheid aviation history. Hello and welcome to The Avid Aviator. My name is Cyrus and I'm an aviation journalist on a mission to create videos on topics that might otherwise slip through the cracks. Today we are addressing the intersection of impactful government policies and sanctions. South African Airways for decades was forced to compete with very unusual circumstances. This is because of nationalized segregation, known as apartheid. Before the onset of such policies, South African Airways' route network to Europe, for example, looked like this. Aircraft on their way to Europe would stop in African cities at a natural midway point. As African countries began gaining independence in the 50s and 60s, there was widespread condemnation of South Africa's segregation. This condemnation took a new form when most independent African countries banned any South African aircraft from flying over their airspace or landing at their airports. This was an extreme blow to South African Airways' expansive network into Europe and was meant to pressure the South African government to change their policies. Instead, South Africa implemented some radical changes that allowed them to keep operating to Europe. At this point in time, South African Airways had a mainline fleet of Boeing 707s for international transit, which had great range for the time but were unable to reach even the edge of Europe with new flight routings. This is how the term "around the bulge" was coined. South Africa was forced to fly around the edge of West Africa. But they had a bit of an issue. There wasn't an ideal stop for their jets to refuel on the way to Europe. Sure, Cape Verde had an airport, but it was built for the 30s and 40s era smaller aircraft. The jets of the 60s simply couldn't land at the current facility. So Cape Verde, still a Portuguese colony, was willing to help. The Portuguese military worked day and night from 1963 to 1966 to expand the airport to allow for South African Airways to add a technical stopover. So the crisis was averted. Sure, South African Airways had to add roughly 2 hours extra on the way to Europe, but the restrictions had failed at their original purpose of getting the government to change. South Africa once again had the essential homegrown link to Europe. On the other hand, European airlines didn't face the same restrictions. They could fly straight to South Africa. This did add an element of unfair competition that gave the European carriers an upper hand. Sal Island in Cape Verde became a hotspot for South Africa overnight, and first served primarily 707s until the introduction of the 747 in 1971. SAA was a big supporter of the 747 program, and in particular, one specific variant that they desperately wanted Boeing to develop alongside Pan Am and Iran Air. A few years later, Boeing gave them what they wanted. Boeing introduced the 747 Special Performance in 1976, with Pan Am, Iran Air, and South African Airways being the main customers for the type. For Pan Am and Iran Air, the aircraft was necessary to enable non-stop flights from the Middle East to New York. The SP had a shortened fuselage and extra fuel tanks, enabling much longer flights compared to the standard 747. This meant that, at last, South African Airways was able to fly directly from South Africa to the edge of Europe using the signature around the bulge routing. SAA was able to fly to European cities in Spain or Portugal directly with the SP before heading to other necessary European spots. SAA would continue using the standard 747 and the Airbus A300 to Europe with a stop, with the SP reserved for Lisbon and Madrid nonstop service. South Africa wasn't the only country to face flyover restrictions due to geopolitical issues. El Al, the national carrier of Israel, is perhaps the most notable of carriers to receive severe restrictions, especially surrounding their neighbors in the Middle East. The 747 SP served South Africa well until the 747-400 was introduced in the late 1980s. This coincided with a transformative event for SAA. This was the congressional ban from the US on SAA. The US implemented legislation banning SAA's JFK flights. The initial bill, though passed, was vetoed by then-President Ronald Reagan. Reagan believed that instead of sanctions, diplomacy was a more productive way to change segregation policy in South Africa. For him, economic sanctions on South Africa would only hurt those victimized by the system even more, as the economy would suffer. And when economies suffer, those below the poverty line feel an outsized portion of the suffering personally. But Congress outvoted Reagan's veto, and SAA was banned from JFK for several years. This was a dark period for SAA, with their competitors able to fill in the gaps with more efficient, reliable transit. But everything would change very soon, and SAA's future would change literally mid-flight. I hope you've enjoyed this video thus far, and don't go anywhere because there's still obviously an important topic to cover. But before we go any further, please do consider subscribing to my channel. If you enjoy this type of in-depth aviation commentary and journalism, which you probably do because you're still watching, please do consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and the like button of this specific video. Also, quickly, I've had some comments recently about this flight departure board that's right behind me. It's a cool product that I found online called the Flight Wall, and it basically shows the aircraft that are above you in a specific geo-fenced area. I'm not sponsored by the company, but they did give me a referral link, so if you want to buy the product, please do use the link in the pinned comment down below. Anyways, back to the video. As reported by some passengers flying on SAA during the era, captains piloting SAA 747s on the way to Europe got to make an exciting announcement in their cabins. They would arrive 2 hours early to their intended destinations. This was because during the late 80s and early 90s, the South African government began making concessions in their segregation policy. So, one by one, African countries began repealing their overfly bans, which meant that, once again, South African Airways could fly straight over the continent of Africa. This map shows the entirety of SAA's international operation before the ban was lifted, and compares to this map of how their operation looked by the early 2000s. The new unlimited access to Europe and the US ushered in a new era for the carrier. However, the broad route increases were a bit of a cover for some cracks forming underneath the surface. While SAA had perhaps one of the most comprehensive fleet networks in Africa, their finances were not handled well. South Africa's government would also prove unstable, and critics of the era point out severe corruption and mismanagement of the carrier, especially from the government's involvement. Regardless of the reason, SAA would eventually pull back their footprint significantly, retiring many legendary jumbos like the 747, though notably keeping the A340 in some limited capacity. SAA does now have A350s in their fleet, which enable ultra-long connections to Europe and hopefully soon the USA. SAA has now not operated a direct connection to the US since before COVID. So the story of SAA's unique past is one of glory, chaos, and adaptation. Once a proud symbol of South Africa's prominence, it is now a shell of what it once was. Hopefully, one day, South Africa's flag carrier will be the force it once was. Well, here we are, at the end. Did you know of SAA's Around the Bulge route? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, I need to give a quick shout out to one of our newest channel members that joined at a level that gave them the right to a personal shout out. So thanks to Travis for joining as a member and helping in my mission to produce quality aviation content. If you want to become a channel member and gain access to special perks and early access, press the join button down below for more information. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.